Thank you. Thank you for appearing today or tonight. If I can reference question on notice 28th of February 2023, SQ3-200, it's going to be distributed. From February estimates regarding development of mRNA vaccines, I have given you, the copy will be coming. Do you agree with this answer as it was written at the time? Sorry. They're just making the copies now. Here they come.
Thank you.
This was a question to us, Senator.
Yeah.
The answer we provided.
I'm not sure if you were in the room at the time and maybe Mr Metcalfe took it.
Sorry, Senator, I wasn't paying attention.
That's all right. You undertook to take question on notice for people who weren't in the room. I think you did it for 2 or 3 groups last time.
So the highlighted piece, Senator, that you're asking about on this first one?
Well, yeah. Do you agree with this answer as it was written at the time, and has anything changed since then?
Sorry, which one are we on, Senator Roberts?
SQ23-200.
200, thank you.
Yeah.
So I think MLA is being asked whether there's any update to the reference to 200, Jason. And I think we're being asked about 128. Senator, I'll undertake to see whether there's any update to 128. I don't have the relevant staff here because they've all gone home. I'm not sure if MLA can assist you in relation to their question.
No. So, yes is the short answer, Senator, that we would still agree with the answer that's been provided here. It's a research project that is still going through the research process now.
So you're involved.
Correct.
In supporting the development of mRNA vaccines for cattle.
So
it's under development at the moment. It hasn't been approved.
Yeah, so we're involved in, and I'm not, absolutely not trying to be cute, Senator, we are involved in the research to look at the potential use and development of mRNA vaccines because there's not the commercial use of an mRNA vaccine for a veterinary purpose at this stage.
That's right.
And this research project is what's looking at that. So can it be done? Can it be done in a safe way? Can it be done that produces a vaccine that provides the level of efficacy that we need, and can it be done?
And the third criteria I think you had was it doesn't contaminate the food.
Well, of course, yes. Yep. And it's got to be commercial. So, yeah.
Can I unpick the whole third paragraph? Firstly, this answer indicates a lumpy skin vaccine will undergo testing in Canada. Is that still being tested in Canada, not Australia?
The research is being conducted in Canada to develop the mRNA type vaccine. So for any vaccine to be approved here, it would then have to go through an approval and testing process here, but the research is being done in Canada. So we probably could have been clear in the way that was written.
And unlike the TGA, which did not do live patient testing in this country, relied on the FDA, and the FDA in turn did not do any testing and relied on Pfizer, you'll do testing, thorough testing?
So we're very confident with the standards that are in place and the requirements we have to comply with for veterinary medicines in Australia, and we will absolutely comply with those. And I think we all have a level of concern and confusion in this space from what we've seen and heard in the last few years.
Yep.
And luckily in Australia we have a very sound and detailed approval process, and absolutely we will make sure any research that we do in this space will be connected to that process.
Well, that's interesting. I'd like to get into that because the TGA admitted in answering my questions last Senate estimates that they did not do testing with live patients. They relied upon data from the FDA in America. The FDA also admitted that they didn't do live testing. They relied upon data from Pfizer, the producers. Do our testing requirements require proper testing in this country?
Yes, they do, Senator, and I think there's some big differences between what we all experienced over that 2 or 3 year period and what we're doing here. And the main one is that we have more time, and human lives aren't what's at risk. So if we don't get positive results out of the tests with the research that's being done on these mRNA vaccines, we can stop. If there's different paths we have to take, we can do that, and if we need to take more time, then we can do that. So I think the two examples are sufficiently different that we can have confidence that we'll be able to stick to a very disciplined research and development and then testing and pre-approval and approval process for any potential new vaccine.
That's good to know. The mRNA technology is still new. It hasn't been tested properly in humans at all. What makes you confident that your test will pick up any problems in cattle?
So nothing is the short answer to start with, but the follow-on from that is that because exactly what you just said, it's new technology. And a very important part of this research is to learn about that. And if it has the utility that we think it should have and the ability to manufacture the type of vaccine which is actually safer for animals and easier to use and more effective, then it provides a fantastic potential opportunity, and we absolutely should explore that. But we absolutely have to do that in a way that protects the safety of the animals and the food chain and obviously the consumers.
Right, because of the reputation of mRNA now has been tarnished well and truly. And so people will be wary about eating something with mRNA vaccines in it, eating that meat.
Yeah, we'll be very conscious of those, consumer and community views in the space, they're fine.
And will there be options, will it be labelled, the meat?
I don't know the labelling requirements for what would happen with an animal that's been vaccinated, because that, like I said, that hasn't existed previously, but labelling requirements is something that absolutely would be part of the approval process, and of course we'd rely on the Australian authorities.
It's a bit early in
to
the
make those
consideration
requirements.
really too, isn't it? Those things will all be addressed.
What was that, Mr
Yeah.
Beckett?
I said it's early in the consideration of the whole research, and those things will certainly be considered in the process.
Well, overseas experts with regard to the injections, COVID injections for humans, say this new technology should have had 15 years of testing, not 15 months or 9 months, and not relying just on Pfizer itself, because now we're finding out that the efficacy is negative for these injections. So it doesn't stop transmission. The authorities have acknowledged that. So it needs to be very well tested and over an extended period with cattle to make sure there is efficacy and make sure it is safe and it's safe for humans. The mRNA vaccine for foot and mouth is also being tested in Australia, though, isn't it?
No, not yet.
No, sorry, it will be tested in Australia. The testing will be in Australia. At the Elizabeth MacArthur Agricultural Institute, located at the middle of a large dairy production area in Menangle. Is that right?
No, not necessarily. No, before anything can come into Australia, it's got to go through a very controlled and specific quarantine process, and nothing would actually be brought in and tested or released without
Our
adequate
department
controls.
has to approve any import of such a virus, and that is obviously an extremely careful consideration we will give into any application such as that, Senator. So, for obvious reasons.
Because you'd have to bring foot and mouth virus in here.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't.
We probably need the Chief Veterinary Officer and others to provide evidence to you about sort of the management of that particular
They're up next,
issue.
I think.
Yeah. No, they've all... I'm only here because I'm supporting the Minister, but the Department's formally no longer here. So.
Okay. So will you be involved in that test, MLA?
That's too early to say.
Too early.
Too early to say. The research that we're investing in is it possible to produce vaccines that, using mRNA technology, that would allow the treatment of diseases like lumpy skin disease and foot and mouth disease. That's the research.
So very early days.
Very early days, absolutely. Yep.
Are you aware if the testing on mRNA vaccines for lumpy skin disease or foot and mouth disease includes ensuring the vaccine does not alter the DNA of the animal, thereby destroying generations of genetics? Australian farmers, whether dairy or beef, should be very, very proud of the genetics they've developed over the years. We don't want the genes altered.
Absolutely, we don't. And again, too early in the process, but I'm sure those things will be part of the consideration if there's any potential risk from that.
The answer to question SQ23-128 precludes the precautionary use of an mRNA vaccine for foot and mouth disease or lumpy skin disease, as it would remove our status as being disease-free. Can you reassure the committee this is still the position of Meat and Livestock Australia?
No, I don't think that was our position in that question. Wasn't that a department question?
That was
Secretary, is what you were
actually
saying?
advice from the department to you, Senator, and I've indicated that we're happy to update. If there's any changes, we're happy to update it, but it was only provided a couple of months ago, so I'd be surprised if there's anything to update.
If you could just let us know that...
We've taken that on notice already, Senator, so yeah.
Let us know if it remains constant or if it has changed.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Senator Roberts. Look, I just got a couple of